Welcome back to the channel. Again, it's been a while. Apologies for that. But last time I showed you off some of the stuff that I bought, and I said I was going to go through King Solomon's Mines. Now I've had a love-hate relationship with this film for almost 40 years now. I first saw this film in 1985 in Carlisle, a city in the north of England. And I saw it at, I think it was called Studios 1 to 4 or 1 to 2, but it was on a road called Botchergate in Carlisle. The cinema is sadly not there anymore. I saw quite a few films there. I saw Blue Thunder, Krull, and some other films there. But I saw King Solomon's Mines on the strength of the fact that it had a score by Goldsmith. The trailer made it look kind of, big old-fashioned adventure, and I was well into Indiana Jones at the time, and I just thought, oh, this looked like more of the same, but with a Jerry Goldsmith score. The film was, to be polite, awful. I mean, there was some good stuff in it. I thought Richard Chamberlain made a good hero, weirdly enough. And everybody performed with gusto. John Rhys-Davies as one of the villains, and Herbert Lom. It was all really, really tongue-in-cheek, but it was just so badly done. I mean, it had some scale in some scenes, but it was just cheap as chipped in others. But the score was awesome. I'd actually bought the score before I saw the film, because I saw it in the Virgin Megastore through in Newcastle at Eldon Square Shopping Centre, which is where I used to go there. It was like if I went to London later in the 80s, I always went to 58 Dean Street Records first. If I went to Newcastle, I went to Eldon Square, I went to Virgin Megastore because they had a great soundtrack section. Loads of imports. I used to have that little import sticker. Just, woo. But anyway, I got that. Now that's the Milan pressing on LP of King Solomon's Mines. And I loved it. Now, weirdly, and it was only a few years later, obviously face A, face B, side A, side B, on the actual record, the label is actually on the wrong side of the record, so it's kind of the wrong way around, but it was only a couple of years later that I realised that. But I love that record. It got played to death. Well, it's not played to death. I haven't played it for about 30 years, but I'm sure it still does play. But then, later on in life, Intrada issued an expansion. What year was this? 1991. So, what? 32 years ago. Incredible. But it was great to get an expansion, more action music. It was about an hour of music, 64 minutes, something like that. And I can't remember where I got that. I think I got that in Edinburgh somewhere, possibly in a Virgin Megastore, which is no longer there, on Princes Street in Edinburgh. But again, this, weirdly enough, for such an awful film, I mean a terrible film, it's one of my most listened to scores. And again, there's a liberal use of Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries through this. It wasn't until years later, after having listened to it for hours and hours and hours, that I realised that it was actually in it. I just thought it was part of the score. It was... Anyway, later on, and I think, what year was this? 2014, Quartet Records, All Hail Quartet Records, along with La La Land and Intrada and all the others, issued a further expansion. Not a huge expansion on that one, but they did, there were little bits here and there, and obviously they improved the sound quality, and they included the original album on CD. And this one is selling for silly money now on eBay and other selling sites. It's a shame, but it was a limited, I hate that term, limited edition, but it was only 1,000 units, as they say, which is a shame. I think all music should be for everybody, all the time, but obviously licensing and stuff that I don't understand. But one thing that really always got me about the score to King Solomon's Mines was Jerry Goldsmith was always a rhythmic composer, But some of the rhythms in King Solomon's Mines were so, usually when you hear a rhythm, it sticks in your mind. But some of the rhythms in this it takes it takes a while for it to sink in. Brilliant stuff, brilliant stuff. Loads of great action music as always. But if you've never heard the score to King Solomon's Mines, listen to it, but don't watch the film. Watch the film for some context, but just be warned, it's cheesy and cheap, and it's a shame. It should have been just a fun action film, but it's just... but as I say, Richard Chamberlain was good. I was never a huge fan of Sharon Stone in this. She was just annoying. I suppose she was supposed to be, but it just... But it's just an awful film anyway. But listen to the score. The score is awesome. And it was performed by the Hungarian State Opera Orchestra, which wasn't even mentioned on the original release, I don't think, on the Milan album. But anyway, sometimes the Hungarian orchestras that they're playing on films was not the greatest. Look at Lionheart, which is a great score, but some of the playing is a bit...
I don't know that one.
That's the... Anyway, yeah. Recommended, King Solomon's Mines. Get it. I'm going to do another video soon on The Great Escape by Elmer Bernstein and The Magnificent Seven, also by Elmer Bernstein. Scores that I love. So that's coming up. I hope everyone's well. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Good day.